Hello, welcome. This is the Sage of Calidor coming to you with another video on the history of the Numenorian and a series of videos on the Numenorian civilization. Today we are going to be talking about, in my opinion, one of the most amazing kings of Numenor. His name is Tar-Aldarion, and he has quite a story, and we will get into that. Aldarion was the son of his father Tar-Menelder, who is the son of Tar-Elendil, two kings of Numenor. And one thing about Aldarion is he loved the sea. He loved to voyage, and he just loved to explore around. And when he was old enough, his grandfather on his mother's side took him with him to the uh, mainland of Middle-earth, and there he met the elves, and there he met the High King of the Noldor, Gil-galad, and this started a very close friendship of the two. And during the reign of his grandfather, it was encouraged, but his father did not exactly care for the long voyages and made efforts to try to stop them. But Aldarion was like his own man, so as soon as he was able to, he went off on his own voyages. He scoured the seas, he started the Guild of Venturers, and he went on constant voyages, and this really annoyed his father. This really angered his father because he was gone away from Numenor a lot. He was away from his wife and his daughter constantly, and he was absent. He was absent, and often far longer than expected. I mean, to restrict his son's access, he restricted the number of trees that can be cut down to build ships. But Aldarion set up colonies or temporary places in mainland Middle-earth for people to make ships and explore, and and his father was not too happy. But that all changed around the year 882-883 Second Age, when the High King of the Elves, Gil-galad, gave him a letter that says, I thank you, and the contents were like, I thank you so much for letting me borrow your son. Your son is a rather accomplished mariner and a great ally to us, and his exploration and his charting of Middle-earth is helping us to pinpoint weaknesses in our defenses. A great evil is rising in the east, and we are wondering when and where it would strike and where our weak point is. And through Eldarion's efforts, we discovered a weak point, which is right here. And the king of the elves also asked the king of Numenor, would you be so kind as to let us have your son again? Have your son with us some more to continue to advise us and help us shore up our defenses. And his father was stunned. His father was like, I had no idea this was happening. I had no idea about this. I did not know about the shadow was coming back. And it is with that reason he abdicated to his son, and his son became king of Numenor. And judging by what we can gather, I think you can say Aldarion would be continuing the policy of protecting the elven homeland, which is like right around here, and containing the shadow in the east, which is around here. So a line in the sand using the mountain. Actually, that's a really poor thing. A line in the sand. Actually, no, sorry, that is another poor picture. A line in the sand using the mountains will be used to essentially contain Sauron. Contain the shadow, contain the evil, and this is what caused a lot of the voyages, looking around for strengths and weaknesses to see what needs to be made. So, Aldarion's plan and strategy was actually a pretty good one. It was designed to keep the forces of evil in check. Now, these areas became what you could say contested areas to keep Sauron occupied, but you cannot deny that with all this, Numenor, he was cataloging a way to better fight off Mordor. Now, you might wonder, why didn't he say this? Well, think about this from his perspective. You have a love for the sea. You have family members that do not like the fact you are away for a lot. And if you come out of nowhere and say, hey, I am doing this for our allies in the East, would they believe you? I don't think so. I think people, for some reason, are predetermined to think you are making excuses to justify your behavior if they don't like it. So I feel like he bore with it to a point, and it is probably, and since Numenorians live a long time, I think you can say he lived like decades, maybe a couple of centuries before either Gil-galad had the impression he should write the letter, or now that he had something tangible, like a more solid information, like the area that I said and read, that was something tangible. That was a weak point in the defenses, which Eldarion recommended the elves fortify, and the Numenorians fortify. But something tangible like that, or Eldarion might have just had a moment of weakness and said, my father, my family think that I am doing this for no good reason, but guess what? I have no choice whatsoever. But said do and so Gil-galad is like, don't worry about it. But instead of directly accusing the king of Numenor, Gil-galad presented it as a friendly thing, like, thank you for letting us have your son. Thank you for having it. It is basically giving Eldarion's father a way to keep his dignity, which is very important in terms of medieval kingship. And it encourages Numenor to be more than willing to help the elves in the future and to keep the old alliances going. But Eldarion had issues at home. He was estranged from his wife Arendis, who was, well, at first they had some attraction to each other, but their relationship fell apart the more he was away. She realized that she was interested with him, and to win him over, she gave him a ceremonial wreath for the ship according to Numenorian custom, which is said to invite good luck. And he did marry her. He did think she was the best of all the women of the court he was around. But their relationship fell apart when she did not spend when she felt like he was not spending as much time with her as he wanted. And later, she became very bitter with everything, and she moved away from the sea, and she was was a rather bitter woman until the end of her days. Um, and when her husband returned with the note to his father, and the truth was declared, she was too proud to admit that her husband was doing what he thought was right. She was too proud to admit it. The sad thing is, he wanted to take her on his voyages, but she did not like the sea. She was scared of the sea, which was a shame too, because he probably would take her to meet Gil-galad, which Gil-galad might have told her what is going on, and she would have been more receptive. Anyway, the consequences came to a head, and with their only child, a daughter, Calame, who was raised as a shepherdess with the flocks while she was away with her mother. Because when she was younger, she asked her mother, "Where is father?" And her mother said, "Do not worry about father. Know that you have a mother who loves you. That's it." And as she got older, she discovered that she was a princess, and she played both her parents off against each other to get what she wanted. And she in the end accepted her role as a heir to her father, and she married reluctantly. This was another reason behind another consequence of her mother's resentment and overpride. Her mother taught her that men were essentially worthless, which was terrible. She basically forbade any of her relatives or any women that of her court from marrying. She took that choice from them. What hurts even more is her father made an amendment to the succession law that allowed her to inherit the throne when he died. That is a real tragedy of it all. But another thing her Aldarion did when he was when he was king, well, he went to what would be Tharbad. This is Tharbad in the Third Age. A pity there is no picture of it when it's as high as its glory. There he met Galadriel. He also tried to found a colony around Longdire, but after a peak, it disappeared. But nothing much is recorded about the meeting with Galadriel, but I feel like it was more of securing the defenses of the more vulnerable part of the line. Because it's around this point that Galadriel was part of the court of Eregion, I believe, and so she was around there, so they were discussing the defenses of the vulnerable portion of that area. And he established more colonies, more outposts to basically keep to his containment strategy that I mentioned earlier. No, and there were and also during his reign, his father passed away, and his wife also passed away. His wife passed away while he was on his last voyage. I think that is a sad irony in of itself. And I don't know what else to say with that. Just, it's a really bad joke. was doing what he had to do and what he loved to do, because let's be honest, he loved the sea. But he was also found a way to do it along with his duty as a king and as a prince and as a good man of the free peoples. And his wife, who hated the sea, died while he was at sea. But there was another issue. Sauron. It's at this point that Sauron, rather paranoid with the Numenorians now becoming a presence in Middle-earth to help the elves, he established the stronghold of Mordor during the reign of this king. And eventually in the Second Age of 1075, year 1075 Second Age, he abdicated the throne. And his daughter continued his policies until his death, but that is going to be covered in her video. And yeah, I feel like he was one of the greatest Numenorian kings. He was trying to do what was right, yet he was handed with a bad hand. He has had. I think, let's be honest, he might have he would have some personality issues, but we all do. He was forced to spend time away from his family. His family did not understand him, but he still tried to do the best he could. And I think this is why I consider him one of the greatest kings of Numenor. Thank you for your time. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment, and share this with your friends. And until next time, bye.